Hello, I am Daniel, and this is just a quick video update to let you guys know where I'm at and what I'm doing. But I have been on the mission trip called Coast to Coast for Christ for over a year now, hiking from the top of Maine to the bottom of California, from Canada to Mexico. I've actually hiked from like up there and gone all the way to there, and I'm headed all the way to there. Yeah. And so right now I am sitting in Pensacola, Florida. Just last night we had a little get together where people came and we ate food, we played some games, we played music. We had a good time, and we enjoyed a little teaching on the feasts and what it's all about and everything. The Feast of Trumpets, which most of you have probably never heard of really, or you at least recognize that, hey, isn't that a Jewish thing? Yeah. And as a Christian, it's exciting. It's the Feast of Trumpets, otherwise known as Rosh Hashanah. It's the Jewish New Year, because God in His Word set up 7 holy convocations, 7 holy days, holidays. And it's not Christmas and New Year and Thanksgiving and Easter, Halloween. No, those are American, and those all have roots in pagan stuff. And God's got a better system. He set forth His feasts and said, here they are. And so you have Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, Pentecost, trumpets, which is right now. Then that's followed by, I believe, atonement, and then tabernacles. And God has a very interesting timing about the way He fulfills things. And when you come across the first 4 feasts, He's already fulfilled all of them. Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits, and Pentecost. And the interesting timing thing with God is that He fulfilled each one of those in the correct order at the precise moment that they happened in real life. It would be just like God to go ahead and fulfill the other 3 feasts at the precise moment that those happened as well. And so next up is trumpets. A lot of people speculate that that is symbolic of the rapture of the church. And so could it happen? Yeah, anything's possible. It could happen that way. But then, again, it could be wrong too. It occurs to me that if hundreds of thousands of Christians disappeared off the face of the earth all at one time, would anybody know it? You know, there's so much deception out there in the world that the first thing that comes to my mind is people would say, oh, well, you know, they were abducted by aliens. You know, maybe us Christians were holding back the rest of the human race from being able to evolve into a higher plane of spirituality, and so we had to be taken out of the way. Well, all of that's a lie. Well, even if I could go out and teach everybody the truth about that, I still can't help but see that the world has no idea what a Christian is. Let me say that again. Most of the world has no idea what it is to be a Christian. So they can't rightly identify what a Christian is. So when Christians disappear, they won't really realize what just happened. And I'll tell you, let's say the rapture were to happen today. It's September 11th, 2010. If it happened today, you'd be out there minding your own business, and then suddenly hundreds of thousands of people disappear across the face of the earth, and it's quite a hubbub and all this stir and stuff, and you turn on the TV and you start looking around, and it's like, well, okay, maybe aliens abducted them, maybe that theology stuff will be thrown around, but then, hey, maybe it's that rapture that the Christians were talking about, maybe they all disappeared with that, but then they're going to think more and go, oh, wait a minute, that can't be it, because they're going to look around and say, hey, well, the Pope is still here, and Glenn Beck is still here, and a lot of the TV preachers are still here. So you'll think, well, it can't be the rapture because there's lots of these Christians that are still here. Well, yeah, those people will still be here, because Christ is coming back for the Christians, for the real Christians. And see, that sounds arrogantly crazy, but it's true. Because see, 14 years ago, I became a Christian. But I didn't know that I wasn't a Christian before that. I never even had an idea that I wasn't a Christian until I actually became one. And when I became one, it wasn't me that did it. I didn't just wake up one day and say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to buy me a nice suit and start hanging out in a church, and I'm going to be a Christian now. No, it's a supernatural thing. God is what makes you a Christian. Being a Christian just means you're of Christ. And so if you haven't been saved by Christ, if you haven't gone to God for help and for His salvation through Christ, then you are not really a Christian. I like to use the story of being hit by a truck. I show up 30 minutes late to work, and the boss is furious. It's like, where have you been? Why are you late? And I say, well, I know I'm sorry. I apologize for that, but I had some car trouble on the side of the road. I pulled over on the highway, and as I was getting out of my car, an 18-wheeler just ran right over me. And it'll never happen again. I'm sorry. Well, okay. Number one, either I'm lying, or number two, I'm crazy, or number three, I'm telling the truth. Now, number three, we can rule that out because if I was run over by an 18-wheeler on the highway, something would be different. Let me say it like this. You cannot have an encounter with an 18-wheeler and not be changed. And so let me take that to the next step. You cannot have a real encounter with the real God of the universe and not be changed. And it's a supernatural thing that happens. It's amazing. But 14 years ago is when I encountered the real God, and I haven't been the same since. And so when I actually came face to face with the fact that I was not a good person and saw that, hey, I'm a sinner. I'm separated from God. I am lost and I am dying. And I need help. And God's the only one that can help me. You see, being a Christian is not a club of good people. The true Christians are the ones that know that they're not good people. Because if we were good people, we wouldn't need to be saved from anything. We could be good all by ourselves. And therefore, we don't need Jesus. But see, as a Christian, I know that I need Jesus. I need salvation through the Christ, through the Messiah, through Yeshua. Yes, I know what you're saying. How could he possibly be so judgmental about these things? If you're mad about what I'm saying, then you probably don't understand really what I'm saying. It's kind of like if Joe Montana is walking around the planet telling people, I'm a Dallas Cowboy. Well, he's delusional. And for those of you out there that don't know who Joe Montana is, don't know who the Dallas Cowboys are, then you don't know whether or not I'm being judgmental or not. So you'd have to research it to find out if what I'm saying is true. And it's true. Joe Montana has never been and never will be a Dallas Cowboy. Simple fact. All right? Now, Glenn Beck, if he came out on the air and said, Daniel is not a Mormon, he'd be right. And likewise, I can say Glenn Beck is not a Christian, and I'd be right. Now, if the Pope came out and said, Daniel is not Catholic, he'd be right. Likewise, I can say, the Pope is not Christian, and I'd be right. Now, if Obama decided to come out and say, hey, Daniel is not a Muslim, well, he would be right. And likewise, I can say Obama is not a Christian, and I'd be right. Well, the main point is that if all the Christians disappear off the planet anytime soon, there's going to be a lot of deception flying around. And unless you know what a Christian is, you're not going to be able to identify if it was the Christians that took off or not. So if people do disappear from the planet, I want you to look around. I want you to look for me, the Truth Group. I want you to look at Way of the Master. Look for Kirk Cameron. Look for Ray Comfort. Look for Todd Friel at Wretched Radio. Look for John MacArthur. Look for Chuck Missler. Look for Answers in Genesis. Look for Creation Ministries International. Look for Institute for Creation Research. Or look for Tim Tebow. Because if all the Christians disappear off the face of this planet, you're not going to be able to find these people anywhere. Because they are Christians. So until next time, I'm Daniel. Unless there's not a next time. In any case, I'm still Daniel. But I guess I won't be making any more videos. So we'll see.